Live from New Orleans, Louisiana, where it's hotter than Jerusalem. It's the A to Z Podcast. I'm Zach Jackson. He's Andre Knott. A to Z Podcast.com. Facebook.com/A to Z Podcast. Shout out, as always, to Scene, to the Honeymoon Grill, to American Fireworks for helping to make this happen. Shout out to you guys for helping this thing grow. And the disclaimer we like to give, but we sometimes forget. Sometimes we get excited. We venture into mature/immature subjects. And we say bad words, four-letter words, things like that. So if that's not for you, if there's kids around, or if you're in a work environment, come back some other time, put your earbuds on. We don't want anybody to get in trouble for listening to A to Z. And on a serious note, Dre, I got to New Orleans this morning, and we want this to be a shit-talking shit show, distraction from real life. But I was fortunate. There's people with the hurricane bearing down in the Carolinas, all up the East Coast, really, that are dealing with some real-life stuff. So if that's you or you have loved ones, we're sending everybody good vibes on that. And other real-life stuff.
We're thinking about you guys.
Yeah.
We're thinking about you guys.
And then one other real-life super important thing is our fantasy team is 1-0. So watch out, because we're coming for 2-0.
Yeah. And we hot. We could be up. We could already had this week one, but that's another conversation for another place, another time.
We're going to tell you about our fantasy team.
It's funny because I trust you with our lineup and don't even pay attention to it half the time. So like yesterday, I'm messing with the kids or whatever, and I know the game's getting ready to start. And to be honest, you probably played the right quarterback. It happenstance, right? So the first touchdown happens, and I go put AJ in bed, and I come back down, and then Bella says something to me. I'm like, all right, let me go read a book to Bella. And I come back down, and AJ Green's already got 3 touchdowns, and I start dancing, and I'm like, man, we're kicking whoever we're playing ass. Then I look at our score, we only got AJ Green playing and not Dalton, and I'm like, what in the claws world has happened today that we don't got the matchup going the way we should?
Well, we played Patrick Mahomes over Andy Dalton. I think most red-blooded Americans would do that. But nobody comes here to listen to our stupid fantasy team.
No.
They come here to listen to us talk about other stupid shit, right?
Right. Yeah, you want to hear all the other dumb shit in our life. Browns-Saints week. I hear one more person talking about how the Saints have started the last 3 years 0-2 or last 4 years 0-2. And if I hear about the one team that the Browns have had the most success against since they've come back since '99 is the New Orleans Saints. If you think that matters any at all at noon Central Time on Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, I've got some land. I would say I got some land I would like to sell you. None of that shit matters. None of it matters.
You got a nice basement here in Louisiana to sell somebody.
There you go.
It strikes me every time, Dre. I remember the first time I came here, which would have been 2002 with the Browns, driving down the highway that you come in from the airport, and you see the cemetery, and you see the mausoleums, the graves above the ground. Because you don't see that in Ohio, and you don't think about living below sea level.
Right.
And it's creepy as shit then, and frankly, it's creepy as shit now. But I got down here. It's really hot as balls. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I did. Sorry, Mom. I'm walking down the sidewalk in search of lunch, which is one of my favorite activities. But as you know, I'm like the least patient person in the whole world. So I'm on kind of a narrow part of the sidewalk, like not out in a big busy street or anything. And all of a sudden, traffic's at a dead stop. And I'm just like ready to lose my mind. Like, what are you idiots doing? Like, is something wrong here? Of course, because I'm the most important person in the world, right? And it was really only stopped. There was a line about 70 or 80 deep to get into one restaurant at like 11:30 this morning. So it's a good place to pig out, which I like to do. It's a good place to over-imbibe. But although it's a dangerous place, which I sometimes like to do, but it's a business trip, as the coaches say. Jerry, I think the Browns will be competitive. I think the pass offense can't help but be better. The Saints defense obviously has some things they have to fix. And, there were a multitude of issues that the Browns faced, some of them unsurprising because it was game one and because they have so many new pieces. But I think a lot of times they didn't even look down the field, and I think this week just looking down the field or just knowing 12 is going to be there, having had him for a while, and being able to get some design shots down the field. Well, even if it doesn't work down the field, it'll
wait a minute. A while? It's been there like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
that's part of the problem.
But it's a huge part of the problem, and Todd Haley admitted it. But what I'm saying is 7 practices and 60 minutes a game is better than 3.
Well, no shit. But this goes back to the whole, and I don't want to be that guy on a Friday before a big game. Stop with the nonsense of telling me that Josh Gordon going away. Okay, if it's good for his mental health, that's great. And I didn't want to have the conversation about should he have started last week, should he have played 80% of the snaps, whatever. the thing that's been one of the biggest problems with Josh Gordon, outside of his related health issues, is that he has not practiced or played enough, but because of his talent, you keep putting him on the field, and he doesn't know the routes.
Correct.
He doesn't know the plays.
That is
so
long
he's
been an
really,
issue.
he is retarding the growth of your offense. What's the point of having training camp and putting a rookie and through all that stuff as a number 2 wide receiver, and then after 15 snaps, we're going to put Josh Gordon back in? His talent tantalizes them, and it ruins the Browns more than it does their opponent. He doesn't know football. He doesn't know offenses. How could he? He's been in the NFL for 6 years, and but he never played however long. He hasn't played 20% of the goddamn games that he was been scheduled to play. So forget all that. Think about all the practices he's missed. You can tell me he's missed 45 games, then times that times 3. That's how many practices he has missed.
Correct.
Guys, it's a bad formula. The formula, it continues to happen, and we've seen it happen under 4 different coaching staffs. We've seen, well, Josh Gordon can run a 4'2". Man, Josh Gordon 6'4", 220 pounds. Man, he looks like a gazelle when he's out there running. You guys are mesmerized by all the wrong stuff, and there's zero chemistry with him and any quarterback, ever. It's not a video game, boys and girls. It's not a video game.
Can't really disagree. And these are things we've been over. Now, some of you out there, and to a certain extent, this includes me, are really tired of the discussion about Josh Gordon's start.
Me too. He
Yeah.
shouldn't have played, to be honest. Because
Right.
he didn't practice enough or played enough.
Right. Well, just let me ask you this then, Dre. There's always going
He's
to
a package player.
Look, there's always going to be conflict between coaches, right? Healthy, a lot of it being healthy because you're competitive and you're in charge of pushing buttons and calling sets and doing things, right?
For sure.
It's pretty clear that Todd Haley and Hugh Jackson, I almost called him Duke Johnson. Todd Haley and Duke Johnson aren't on the same page either, though, so that would have been accurate. A lot of that has to do with Tyrod. But I'm of the belief that, as long as Tyrod plays better, as long as 12 plays better, as long as Jarvis Landry plays better, that it's fine, it's healthy, and it will be nothing moving forward. I think it's obvious it's out there. And, guys, the question has to be asked because Hugh, who's all about himself and saving his own ass, keeps going out of his way to say this, and then one thing happens. So it is more than fair to ask Hugh, to ask Tyrod, to ask Josh, and to ask Todd what happened. It is more than fair, and it's part of the story.
No doubt.
Because from where we sit, you can't come out and say or write without sourcing or direct quotes, Todd and Hugh don't get along. You can't say that. But you can let their words explain the story. And when you have this guy constantly in and out, as we just went over, an organization, let alone an offense that's constantly changing, and you have the head coach who reminds you, I'm the headmaster, I'm in charge, I'm the traffic cop now. He doesn't deserve to start. He's not going to start. And then he starts. And Todd Haley's answer is, I don't have time for anything but winning, which is the right answer.
Right.
It's a story for one, but I don't think, Dre, I think as long as the guys make plays and they eventually win a game or two, and at this point I'm not convinced it's more than 2, I don't think the conflict is a major issue, but I think it's apparent that it's there.
Nah, I don't even care about it because nothing you've said, nothing that's happened with Todd Haley has surprised me. If you do your real research and know who you're getting in bed with, you're not surprised by any of this, right?
No.
Todd Haley hasn't changed. Todd Haley hasn't changed in the last 15 years. He's always been abrasive. He's always went to his own beat of his own drum. He's always kind of pissed people off and got under people's skin. He's always had success for the most part as an offensive coordinator as well. Whether it be with Larry Fitzgerald and Kurt Warner, whether it be with Ben Roethlisberger, he's been a successful coach, and some would say an asshole as well. So none of this is new to me. And like you said, if you do have a coaching staff and everybody agrees, you got a bad coaching staff, to be completely honest.
Yeah. Well, exactly right.
Like, that's a problem if everyone agrees and gets along. The problem is when you have a guy that wants to be the head traffic cop right now and direct all the traffic, and not without one game being played, the kid that always does things his way, does it his way still, that tells you aren't the headmaster. Maybe you might want to take some of this stuff back and find a way of everybody being on the same page. Because there's a difference between everyone not getting along, but everyone being on the same page. And as a leader and a leader of men, this is where I didn't like having a conversation because I don't get too deep into it because I hate even having these type of conversations. But when everybody's not in the same tune, it's about like a choir can't be a good choir. Everybody wants to be the lead singer. I guess I can't sing. I eat. But I would guess to get the right sound, somebody in the choir's got to take a step back and everybody's got to play their game, right? They got to be in tune. To be a successful team, you may not like what Bill Belichick told you on Tuesday when you guys were making a game plan together, but damn it, on Sunday at 1:00, I bet money you fall in line and you get in tune to what Bill Belichick wants.
Amen.
Big difference.
And that's what they
Big
do.
Difference.
That's what they do. Hey, this is a philosophical, larger discussion. This is not about Todd and Hugh. This is something I ran across this week watching a college coach's press conference. It's something I've seen. Well, the Browns have dealt with it. Every team has dealt with it, and Tito deals with it too. So I want you to cite Tito, Dre, in this answer, but not necessarily him, because just the general dynamics. What do you think, about coaches flat out throwing people their players under the bus to the press, and B, like, what have you ever had a discussion with, whether it's Francona or someone else, about how to do it? Because a lot of guys go out of their way to not do it.
Well, Tito goes out of his way not to do it. Tito does have a way of saying little things to tell you how he feels. He'll never. All right, I'll give you a perfect example. And Tito, whether he may agree with this, disagree with this, but knowing him, I think I got a pretty good read on this. Remember back in like May, June this year, he threw out there that Francisco Mejia didn't really feel comfortable playing outfield, even though the Indians were screaming for outfielding help.
Yes,
and he needed an outfielder like we needed a burger at the time. and he flippantly just put out there, Zach, well, the kid's not comfortable in outfield. He doesn't want to play out there. What happened at the All-Star break?
They traded him.
Yep. And they traded him as a catcher, and he got what he wanted. I don't think it was to beat up Francisco Mejia. This is all my opinion, but I think I'm pretty close to being right on this. He likes Francisco Mejia. He wants the world for him. He didn't see Mejia helping him as a catcher, and he knew Mejia wasn't that great playing outfield. I thought that was more of him sending a shot at the front office to go get them help. Does that make sense? That he used the player to make how he felt, even though management knew how he felt. Sometimes the pressure changes when your manager kind of puts out there why you want a guy and you don't want a guy. I think there's ways to manipulate the game, and I could be wrong in this. If I am, it's my bad. I don't think I am, though. I think that was one of those, knowing Tito and knowing how he doesn't talk about his players very often, he has ways when he doesn't like something, just not to say it.
Sure.
Like if you're around him every day, you know who he likes and who he doesn't like.
Sure.
If you ask him about a player and he barely says 3 words, that means, the guy did his job. I'm not saying anything else because I don't want his head to get too big.
Right.
So do these coaches do it? And I'm doing it off a guy I'm around shit. I've been around him since February 23rd. I think I got a decent feel for how he, and this is all on the record. This has nothing to do with our off-the-record conversations. I know on the record, if I don't talk to Tito any more than just when I'm scheduled to, I have a pretty good feel how he feels about a lot of guys on this team. And it's unfortunate that most fans don't pick up on it because Tito's on air enough that you should know what he means when he says certain things.
Yeah. Well, fair to say that he's much better at it now than he was 18 years ago in his first managing job.
No doubt.
Right?
His first managing job, he was 36.
Yeah.
No doubt. And he'll admit that he didn't know what he was doing in those types of situations.
Yeah. Well, obviously I cover football. I'm around football more often. And I think, it comes up more. Like the example the reason I thought of this today is I was reading the Greg Williams transcript. Obviously I wasn't there today because I was flying to New Orleans this morning. But everybody knows, if you watch the film, that Joe Schober gets that interception, fumble, whatever, they ended up ruling it. And if he gets one block, right, then he scores.
Yep, game over.
Well, he doesn't. He doesn't. They got flagged for the block in the back, and I don't think the kicker was making it anyway. I think it was crap your pants Larry Nance time for him. But, Greg Williams comes out and says, hey, yeah, he should have scored. Like if Jannard Avery blocks a guy, instead of watching Joe run, then he scores.
Right.
And I got no problem with that because that's facts. And I
Avery,
watched it.
by the way, Avery played pretty good too. By the way,
Yes. Oh no. Listen, he is not ready to be a full-time player, but for a fifth round, a guy that can give you that kind of snaps and that kind of effort, absolutely.
He can bring it.
Yeah, he's a strong. He was like a high school powerlifting champion.
Really?
Like a lot of 11th graders are just learning to lift, right?
Right. No shit.
Yeah, his muscles got muscles.
And I'll just say, going back and watching the game with no emotion to it at all and just watching it, he might have been one of the most. I mean, Myles Garrett was the most impressive, but Avery, number 2, is one of the most impressive guys they got, man. He was the dude last
Well,
Sunday.
and they're going to need him because they lost Emmanuel Ogbah. If Ogbah ain't ready to play this week, you got to imagine he's not ready to play Thursday. I don't know that.
Right.
They could treat. I guess the ankle could be a day away, and they're just not going to force him. But they're going to need Avery to get to the passer. That is for sure. But like in other cases, Dre, and this has been going on for years, right? And this is watching a game on TV. Like you said, you're reading a book last night. You come down the stairs. This is being in the press box. This is whatever. Teams hit big plays in the NFL, with the exception of A.J. Green or Antonio Brown just jumping over someone. There's almost always a blown coverage, a blown assignment, right? And you can give all the PFF grades and all the Twitter anger and all of everything, and I've been guilty of it too, and say who it was. But unless we know the exact defensive call and
we have no idea
what that safety said to that corner when they saw the alignment, we don't have any idea, right? And that's when coaches are really in a bind, because then do they say, the answer that we hate is, well, we got to watch the film, or we had a communication breakdown and we got to be better.
And that's the truth, right?
Right.
The truth.
But and I understand this. This is why I wanted to talk about this here. The coach kind of is an asshole if he says, well, Johnny Smith, the safety, that's his zone. We were in this specific call, and he has deep responsibility there, and he blew it, and I'm fucking tired of it. Right? It's awesome. It makes Sports Center when he says that, but I don't think it plays real well with Johnny Smith and the rest of the locker room.
No. Well, I'll give you the best example from this week. I just heard Dustin Fox talk about it, and I've heard this from someone that kind of knows what's going on with their offense. The interception that Tyrod Taylor threw to Gordon on that fade was supposed to be a fade stop, is what some are saying. I know Dustin's now said it on the air, said he heard something. I've heard something. Tyrod Taylor is kind of taking it on his own. Hugh Jackson is kind of taking it on his own and say, yeah, he needs to throw it up there. Right. They handle Josh Gordon with kid gloves. It's right off of what you're saying. No one wants to say on the team or be on record to say he's not running the right routes. No one wants to just come out and say he doesn't know the offense well enough. So they all are covering his ass. And then, even Tyrod, who knows, man, that was probably – I would say most of the time, 9 times out of 10, the quarterback throws to the right place, right?
Yeah, I would say 8 or 9 times out of 10, absolutely.
Yeah,
yes.
8 is fine.
Yes.
8 out of 10 times, the quarterback knows the snap better than anyone else. I'm only saying this is because he fucking called it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you would have to be a stupid mofo to call a play or say what snap it's on and then not know where to go with the ball. Remember that, people, when you see interceptions on Saturday and Sunday.
Great segue there in that answer, because let's just say this and then let's talk baseball or LeBron or something else. Kid gloves and first game jitters and everything's new and playing two of the best NFL teams. Look, guys, the reason I thought the Browns could get one of these first 2 games, and this goes back 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 10 days, as much as I know they're better, is that the Browns, no shit, no hyperbole, every game's the Super Bowl until they win one, and they're playing 2 teams that have Super Bowl aspirations that really don't give a darn about September, right? So I thought they were good enough, and maybe they will be. And even if they lose Sunday, and like I said, I'm expecting the Browns to compete. I'm expecting the Browns to cover the number of 8 or 9, but I'm not expecting them to win because I just think Alvin Kamara and Drew Brees and those guys are too good. They hungry, yes. They strong. Then it's like, okay, they're 0-1-1, which is better than 0-2. We didn't have it, but next Thursday, guys, kids' gloves are off. All bets are off. Tyrod, Hugh, all involved. John Dorsey to an extent, even though we know he's not going anywhere this year. Like, next Thursday is the fucking Super Bowl. It just is. It just is. And the fact that Sam Darnold is on the other side adds sizzle. You can run from that or not. All the, the hard knocks and the miscommunication and all that stuff and all the hype. And like I said, a lot of it is warranted. And the Browns last Sunday got outplayed for 48 minutes. They were resilient as hell. They made a couple of plays, which oftentimes is good enough to win when you don't have your A game in the NFL. And they had more chances. Both teams had chances. They had more chances. Okay, so however you look at it, and whatever happens this Sunday, if it doesn't result in a W, whether I'm right and they lose a close one or they get blown out, whatever, next Thursday we're either done being the worst organization in sports or we're not. We're either done with this cycle of suck and saying things that never come true and all of this, or we're not. It's just how it's going to be. So buckle up, enjoy it, and we're not signing off the podcast right now, but that's how I'm signing off of Browns Talk. Let's talk next Friday. I very much look forward to it.
Me too. That Jets game ain't gonna be easy, son.
No.
Corwell gonna come in talking shit, and that don't even matter. That defense has got players, and they got a head coach that's one of the better defensive coordinators in football. Let's just get through this weekend, because I think next week is going to be very interesting, because I think it's going to be hard for some people to do shows if they're 0-2-1 come next Friday. That's nor here nor there. And I wouldn't say they're a bad team if it happens, but it could happen.
Yeah, listen, a lot's in play. That's what's fun about the NFL. I thought the best line I've written in months was after last Sunday's game, when I said something to the effect of, I don't have it in front of me, but something to the effect of buckle up, because if today's any indication, it's going to be a hell of a ride. And this is what happens when you have a real NFL team where every Sunday is competitive. Right. It comes down to a few plays. Is
that the line you stole from Bull and Fox?
No, I was accused of a start gate or something. I don't know. I haven't tuned in to that show lately, so I definitely didn't steal that there. So.
Come on, Bull. Don't be so full of yourself that you think just because you read something somebody would say it out loud.
Hey, I'm
just done. Like Matt. Look, I call everybody up, because Brian Windhorst has always done this to me too. Because it's nothing like listening to the podcast and Zach laughing harder at his own joke, or now Zach called out what he wrote and how great it was. We all love ourselves, but don't be putting yourself up higher than somebody else to think somebody stole your shit. Your shit ain't that good. I mean, for all of us, me included. Like, we all like.
Right.
Come on, dog.
All right, great. Before we get to baseball, let's play a little American Fireworks Glory Days. I am in a hotel room.
I got a story, too.
Okay.
I got two good ones. Go ahead. You go.
I'm in a hotel room in New Orleans, and obviously the volume's off. But I accidentally, with my foot, turned the TV on while we're doing this, and the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is on the TV. So take me back. Give me a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air moment that you remember, because I know you watched that show.
Oh, man. When Will ended up going to the high school to be on the basketball team, and was like the Kobe Bryant, wouldn't pass to nobody. The court was literally from the front of my car to the end of my car.
Yeah, it was like an elementary school gym. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like an elementary gym. And Will Smith just dominated everybody and lost friends. All right,
let me say this. It's funny you say that, because I used to love the throwback jersey phase. I absolutely loved it. Kennard Lang had every one of them in the world. He wore them to games. He wore them on trips. He wore them around the locker room.
Yes,
I had a bunch. My friends had a bunch. It was a really cool thing. But when it jumped the shark was a few years ago, when I saw somebody wearing a number 25 Bel-Air Academy jersey.
Yes.
It was like point for creativity, but come on, man. Come on.
All right. We need to bring throwback jerseys back. They should never go away.
I know. We should.
Like Deshaun Watson. His first start last year in Houston, he wore a Warren Moon.
Yes.
And I was like, man, I love this. He was MVP of the week before he even took a snap.
Yes.
Like, that was just a feel for where you're at. It just was perfect to where, all right, my throwback story, Browns, New Orleans. I may have told it on the pod before, but I'll tell it again. 99, Tim Couch is the quarterback. They go down, and I almost died the day the Browns got their first win back in this organization. I was at Kent State. I was in one of my final years of school. I was in my junior year or whatever else.
Had a house that was probably one of the dirtiest houses.
What's that?
You were in your third junior year, but go ahead.
Third, fourth junior year. Whatever, I got out, motherfucker. I was on my own clock. It was contagious, bruh. So it was Halloween at Kent. And for all you OU people, you think the best time you've ever had for Halloween is when you're in Athens, and congrats to you on that. But Kent's pretty good too. So, because I was an idiot, 1 year old, 22, whatever I was, 22, I just kept drinking, kept hanging out, kept partying with all my friends. And I'm literally on that Saturday night, like, man, I got to watch this Browns game tomorrow. I wanted to watch the game, but I knew at the time, I was like, man, I've never felt worse in my entire life. So the girl I was dating at the time, finally, after she got done being out, and all my friends came back to my house, everybody's partying at my house. I literally were like 20 people in my house, and I can't, and I'm not being Taz. You don't hear me yelling and screaming. You just don't hear me. And finally, one of my old friends is like, dude, something might be wrong with Dre. We haven't heard from him in a while. So they take my temperature. It's 101, 102, something like that. And they was like, well, it could be from drinking and hanging out all day, and you just may, have the flu. And I was like, yeah, I ain't going to the hospital right now. I want to watch that Browns game tomorrow. I don't know why I wanted to watch it. Lo and behold, I end up having to go to the hospital the next day, the Sunday after the Browns won on the Hail Mary. On the Hail Mary, I just was terrible. I was throwing up, had a temperature, just worst feeling ever. But I sat there that whole Browns game with 102, 101 temperature the whole time. And the doctors told me if I would have waited probably another hour, another 2 hours, they very well could have had me in the hospital all week long. But I was just like you, Indy. I cared about the Browns so damn much I damn near died in '99 for Tim Couch to throw. It was one of the dumbest things. It's like one of the first times when you're away from your parents, and my mom or dad would have, they would have knew what my temperature was. And they would have been like, all right, dude, go lay down or go take medicine. But you're stupid when you're in college away from home for the first time. You're like, oh, I'll be all right. Dude, I damn near killed myself just because I wanted to watch a football game.
Hey, the first time I came to New Orleans, it was 2002 for the Browns game, and even though I was in my idiot prime, I mean, in October of 2002, I'd have been 23 years old, 23 and 1 month old. Boy, I was a real moron, a real moron. And the Browns won the game, and I think that's the day that Gerard Warren pissed on the tarmac when we got back.
Sounds right.
Yeah, sounds about right. But anyway, so bless us both this weekend, but I'm going to behave. I got a nice, comfortable room, and listen, I went outside, and my fat ass just was about to melt just walking to lunch. So I am more than cool right here, at least for the rest of today. Let's talk a little baseball.
The message to all the kids out there: don't die this weekend because of the Browns game.
Yes. There was a lot of Browns gear, not only on my flights this morning, but there were some jerseys and stuff getting on other flights. So, like I said, I had to change my original flight because I didn't want to connect through Charlotte and risk it. But there were a good number of people, and actually some more Browns folks I saw just when I went out for lunch, which isn't surprising. Not the greatest time of year to be down here, but we appear to be okay weather-wise, except for being hotter than Jerusalem. And
right. We travel, man. You know that.
So the Indians are home for 10 days or something, correct?
Yeah, man. We don't leave until next Sunday. So yeah, we're here for a decent amount of time, no doubt.
Yeah. So it's two division teams. It's going to be a clinch at some point, and then the Red Sox. So just fill us in on where they are. Well, first of all, I want to go back to yesterday, because I know the name, but I had only seen him pitch once before. This Blake Snell, he's the real deal, huh?
Real deal, Holyfield. I think he's going to win the Cy Young. This shit is filthy. The thing he did, the nerd baseball guy in me, it's not about numbers. I'm not going to be one of those guys that breaks down all the numbers to you. Blake Snell can throw a fastball left-handed up to 98 miles an hour. The Indians knew that. The Indians had success against him the last time that he pitched. Because of that, they thought they were all looking fastball in certain situations. And what they end up doing, Blake Snell pitched them backwards. And literally, first 3 pitches of the games were change-ups to Francisco Lindor. And his change-up and curveball are good enough, Zach, that he threw 40% fastballs. Barely threw them for strikes. Only threw them up and out of the strike zone. And he ended up having one of his best – he had a one-hitter. And he pitched backwards to them, just using curveballs and changeups. That's how good his changeup is. That's how good his curveball is. And when this kid is healthy and has it figured out, he's one of the best in baseball. It was fun to watch. I never thought the Indians were going to get no hits. Shout out to Spring Coach CFO. Springer was losing his goddamn mind, texting me and tweeting how we were about to get no hit. and I told him for about an hour straight, it's not going to happen. Then Ramirez hits the home run, and he couldn't even say, yeah, my bad, you're right. He freaks out like it's nothing. He freaks out like it's nobody's business, and I love that kid to pieces. And I can't wait to see him tonight after this game wearing his white belt, acting like he's still in Hawaii somewhere.
Acting like he's working at Swenson's.
Yeah. Bring me a galley boy, bitch. He sits there. He freaks out so bad. The Snell did have no-hit stuff, though. He was nasty. And like I said, the nerd in me loved that he put the Indians away simply by not throwing fastballs. He just didn't throw it. I mean, and you play games, and you know how baseball works. Imagine being good enough that you got one of the best fastballs in baseball, and you don't even got to use it. You can hit one of the best hitting teams in baseball. Tells you how good he is.
Yeah, he's good. All right, so it hasn't been the best start to September, but as you've said, last year at this time is when they won 22 in a row, and then they only lasted 5 games. So, just where do you think, heading into this homestand and the home stretch, where do you think they are?
Well, it'd be nice to clinch tonight, get that over with, first of all. And then I think this time is really about getting Donaldson. Man, look, I think they were game under 500 on the last trip. Not great. But you know what? Why Tito and most people were happy with the Indians when they came back? They had a healthy Josh Donaldson who's ready to play, ready to go. And for the first time all year, Andrew Miller looked like Andrew Miller twice in Tampa Bay. That's where they're at, right? I mean, it sounds like spring training. It has a spring training feel. But for them, if they have, and we've said it, if Andrew Miller's healthy, if Josh Donaldson's healthy, if Cody Allen is back to where he's been, I think Tito has the faith that he can go in front of the 25-man roster they put together for the playoffs. And if their 5-6 guys are healthy and in a good place, he thinks they can beat anybody in a series. And I think as a fan, you got to feel the same way. Now, there's a lot of things that can pop up and get in the way of that, but I think that's the message that's being sold within the clubhouse is let's get our shit together, let's get right, because in a month we're going to go to Houston, and we know on that Friday in Houston we got to play game 1, and they're going to send one of their aces to the mound, and we're going to send Kluber. And when and Tito says it, when we go on the field and Kluber's on the mound, we feel like we can beat anybody anywhere. That's going to be the message to the Indians. Now, would it be nice to see them win 8 of 10, 9 of 10, coming around in this homestand? Absolutely. And I think they need to do it. But I think the whole goal is get your 5, 6, 7 main guys healthy. And I think right now they are. So really, this is the best we should have seen of them. September 13th. From here on, if everybody stays healthy, we should see the best of baseball from them. Because they know, and like Lindor actually went to Tito in the last road trip and kind of had the conversation of where's our motivation? Why do we play like shit sometimes? And everybody's come together. It's pretty simple. And Kipnis has said this: when you're 15 games up, 12 games up, and Tito goes, they're not fucking idiots. They can read the paper. They know. He goes, what do I look like going and yelling and screaming at them? And they go, yeah, but we're still up 15 games.
Right.
I think the motivation for most players is getting pushed by other teams. This team hasn't been pushed all year. So now their motivation is to be as good as you can. And the motivation for them is to go kick everybody's ass in the playoffs and shut everybody up. Let's hope they can do it.
All right. Fair or not, accurate or not, this statement. If Josh Donaldson and Andrew Miller are healthy, the Indians should win the first playoff series.
I'll say yes. I'll say fair. Fair enough.
I mean, that's what it seems to me, but I'm just a guy who goes to the game and goes to the ball.
Yeah, the reason that matters is if you just said Josh Donaldson, I would say, well, shit, he can hit 4 home runs. If we give up 8, it won't matter. But if Andrew Miller's pitching and in big games, that means the games are close. And if he's shutting down the 7th and 8th, you're damn right. And if Donaldson's doing his thing, damn right, you got a chance.
Okay. All right, well, we'll talk about baseball again on October 3rd. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Actually, we've got a special we're going to do something special on baseball coming up over the next couple of weeks. So just stay there. If you're a big fan and you only come because you see my name and you think we're going to talk Indians and you're going to get these great stories.
Well, I don't know. Last year, 2 days before the playoffs started, I went to the stadium. We did an all-baseball edition of A to Z, and it didn't do anybody any good. So, you guys tell me.
Actually, I gave a great scouting report and said, told you Didi Gregorius is the only guy they were scared of, and who ended up beating you.
Yeah.
Didi.
Yeah. I vaguely remember that. I've done a lot of drinking since then, my friend. A whole lot. College football, we talked the other day about the Buckeyes in Texas, a big game, big measuring stick for them. Indians play in the afternoon, right? So you should be able to see that game.
Yep. Okay. I'll be at Pete's house. I'm going to Pete in Painesville to take this one in.
Oh, boy. Good luck with that. Hope you got an Uber lined up.
No, I got a ride lined up. Don't worry. So a couple things. One of our coaches, Scott Ashton, is big CCU guys. Dad's a big football coach in Texas. CCU's quarterback's a big guy, 220, 215, can run a little bit. He could be a problem at some point in time. They got a little receiver, the punt returner, kickoff returner.
They got some guys.
Gonna blow them out.
Yeah.
So they got some players. I think it's going to be an Ohio State-based crowd. TCU is too small of a school, even though it's 30 minutes from Jerry's World. I think this is, you know what this game is more than anything else? Obviously, it's a big game because there's two ranked teams and all that other, stuff. I think it's a great game to continue recruiting in Texas for Ohio State.
Oh, that's why they did it. That's why they did it. There's no question about it. Yeah, and I think it's just it's a true neutral site game, even though geographically it's not. I think the crowd will be close to 50-50. I think there'll be neutral observers. First of all, the Buckeyes rarely ever play a true road game because of the way they travel. Maybe at Michigan, maybe at Penn State, are the two exceptions to that. And it's just a good test because it's a huge step up in competition for Dwayne Haskins, for an Ohio State team that it's still early in the year, but they're loaded and they have young guys that need big game experience. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to see them trail or in a close game at halftime because you need that experience too. And we'll see what happens. It's full-on football season. I am enjoying every darn minute of it. I'm out. You got anything else?
Stay safe out there, buddy.
Yeah, I will. I promise.
Because drinking them hurricanes, this shit is contagious, bro. I don't need no text messages. It's contagious. I've done it. I've been there. I've taken pictures with cops at 4 a.m. I've watched Dominique Wilkins play cards and gamble until 5 a.m. I've seen some shit in New Orleans. Put it that way. Just stay steady.
I've seen and done some shit in New Orleans, shit that I won't even talk about on the podcast. That's saying something. On that note, we're out. Thanks to Scene. Thanks to Honeymoon. Thanks to American Fireworks, AmericanFireworks.com, the Glory Days segment. Our favorite subject, because the best thing we like to talk about is ourselves. He's Andre. I'm Zach.
Glory Days. Konnichiwa, New Orleans.
Get some rest. You need it. See ya.